Hey, what's going on, guys? It's actually been a while since I actually put a video up on the channel. I've been just kind of busy with some house projects that I'm working on, and I knew I wanted to make this video in the future, and I wanted to give it a little bit more time of actually owning the solar panels and the backup battery to kind of, show that is it really worth getting. So I'm here on my Tesla app, and it just shows you basically the solar panels right now. So right now it's like raining, so it's not producing anything. Not as much at least, how much the home is drawing and how much I'm pulling from the grid and how much from the Powerwall or the battery that it has as backup, and if there's any excess that's generated from the solar, it goes to recharging the Powerwall first before going into the grid. So this is how that setup works. So for the month of November so far, it's been really cloudy and rainy. So we haven't been able to make much solar energy from the panels itself per se, but on the previous months, we've made some really good power from there, and it really offsets the usage. So the one thing I wanted to show you guys here is the solar battery backup worth it? And the answer is yes, definitely. For me, at least. As you can see down here in November, it shows you the backup history in terms of how many times your house lost power and for how long, and what it generates from there. So November, we didn't have anything so far. In October, if you scroll down in October, we had 3 outages. For some reason in my neighborhood, we just lose power like often. It would just be like for a few minutes, sometimes like an hour, 2 hours. But for example, in October here, we lost power 3 times. And yes, it's short, but the thing is, you don't ever know how long you're going to lose power for, and you kind of have to prepare for the worst for every case, right? So, for example, if I lost power here, I would have gone and just made sure all my tanks were, okay, everything's going to be ready if we had an extended long outage. But with the backup battery, especially with the Powerwall here, the switch to the backup is like instantaneous. All I see is maybe like a flicker of light or the light kind of dim a little bit, and everything is kicked up on the backup battery, and I don't do anything. Like nothing turns off. I don't have to go and like plug power to a generator and start cranking that to make sure it's working and plug everything. I don't have to worry about any of that, which is really convenient and awesome. Some of these power outages, these random power outages, like what if I'm not home, right? What if I'm like out and it happens, and then like I come back and like everything's like off and I'm not prepared, right? So like just this alone here in October, like yeah, it's only 6 minutes to 5 minutes each. It was worth it to me. Like the investment that I paid for the Powerwall was totally worth it. And if I go back here in September, nothing happened there. And August, we had one in August, right? So that again, that's only 5 minutes long. Again, you never know how long these are. And then like if I go back to July, and this is when I installed the battery, the backup battery. So I don't have any other history prior to July. But earlier in the year, we had lost maybe 3 more times that I can recall. And one of those times we had lost power for almost 5 to 6 hours. Um, and it was like during winter month. So like it was super cold, and I was kind of worried about the fish in the garage because out there they're more susceptible, for the temperature drop. And all I did was, go out there and make sure they're okay, and that's all I could do, right? And that's why I chose to get this power wall over getting a larger tank for the back wall here, just because I knew like my current tank, like what I have set up right now, it's way much more than what the Powerwall costs and the solar, panels cost. So it's worth it for me in terms of putting that investment towards that so that we can keep everything alive. And the other thing I want to point out is like, for example, right now it's raining and cloudy today. And my power wall is at 55%, so about a little over 50% in terms of backup. And so let's say we have a really bad severe thunderstorm that's going to come by. Tesla will actually have a notification. It's like a weather watch or storm watch on their app, and if it's really severe, where like to the point where you're going to potentially have power outages, um, they will automatically start charging your Powerwall from the grid within like an hour to 2 hours ahead of the storm coming in, even if it's at like at night where there's no sunlight to actually power the solar panels. So earlier, like I think it was like last month or like a month ago, I had this and actually saw like the Tesla app starting to charge my Powerwall like 2 hours prior to a pretty big storm. And luckily we didn't lose power, which was kind of weird. Normally, like big storms like that, we would like lose power for a little bit, but we didn't lose any power. But the battery was just charging, and we went from 55%, which is what I normally would have it down to, and it charged all the way up to almost like 85-90% before the actual storm came by. So if you guys are kind of on the fence of getting a backup battery, if you have solar or a generator or some kind of backup for your fish tanks, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting something, even if you guys can't afford, obviously like a Powerwall, a solar panel. Look into a generator. A generator does a great job at powering everything. The only thing is you just have to go out there, turn it on, plug in, some outlets. But that is a great alternative to keeping, your fish tanks and your other um, animals alive while you have power outage. And at the bare minimum, if you can't get any of those, just get some, battery pumps, like the air pumps that you just plug in, like the D batteries, and just kind of aerate the tanks until the power comes back on. At a bare minimum, getting that if you can't afford any of the other alternative. So yeah, I just wanted to make this video just to show you guys why I invested into this Powerwall and why I think it's totally worth getting, especially if you have a lot of tanks. If you have only like one tank, maybe not. Maybe it's not worth it to you guys. But if you have multiple tanks where like they are really, really dependent on electricity and you keeping them alive, totally worth the investment. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe. Like always, the next one, guys. Peace.